In the remote highlands of central Laos, an ancient mystery is etched into the very landscape, waiting to be understood. Here, scattered across hundreds of square kilometers, lie thousands of colossal stone jars, silent and imposing. This is the Plain of Jars, a megalithic archaeological site that has puzzled historians and scientists for over a century. Their sheer size is staggering, with some standing over 3 meters tall and weighing several tons. They are carved from solid rock, a monumental undertaking for any civilization, let alone one from the Iron Age. The most profound question, however, is not how they were made, but why? What purpose did they serve? Local legends speak of giants and kings, while archaeologists propose more grounded, yet equally fascinating theories. These stone vessels have guarded their secrets for more than 2,000 years, through the rise and fall of empires. Each jar is a question mark carved in stone, a silent testament to a culture we barely understand. Join us as we journey into the heart of this enigma, exploring the theories behind the Plain of Jars. The jars are primarily carved from sandstone, with others made of granite, conglomerate, or calcified coral. The material was not quarried from the sites themselves. It had to be transported from several kilometers away. Imagine the monumental effort, quarrying massive blocks of stone using only primitive iron tools. Then, somehow, transporting these multi-ton behemoths across rugged, hilly terrain without modern machinery. Evidence of tool marks can still be seen on many of the jars, hints of the hands that shaped them. Most jars are cylindrical, with the bottom wider than the top, a simple yet elegant design. A few even have disc-like lids, some plain, others with curious carvings of animals or human-like figures. These carved lids are exceptionally rare, adding another layer of complexity to the puzzle of their purpose. The craftsmanship varies, from rough-hewn vessels to beautifully finished and symmetrical works of art. This suggests the work was carried out over a long period, perhaps by different groups or for different reasons. The phenomenon isn't confined to a single field. It's a vast network of sites spread across the Shenquang Plateau. To date, over 90 distinct sites have been identified, each containing anywhere from 1 to 400 jars. The most famous and largest is Site 1, which boasts over 300 jars, including the largest one discovered. This massive jar is called King's Cup in local legend, a name that hints at mythical origins. Site 2 is perched on 2 adjacent hills, offering a commanding view of the surrounding countryside. Site 3 is nestled in a scenic valley, with jars arranged in clusters near a small stream. The strategic placement on hilltops or along ancient pathways suggests they were significant landmarks. The total number of jars is estimated to be well over 2,500, a staggering figure for an ancient culture. Many more sites likely remain hidden, swallowed by dense jungle and inaccessible due to the region's terrain. This widespread distribution deepens the mystery. Was it one culture, or was this a shared tradition among many? Among the many theories, one has gained the most traction within the scientific community, that the jars were funerary vessels. This theory suggests the jars were part of a complex, multi-stage process for honoring the departed. Archaeologists propose that the jars were used as distilling pots for the deceased. The bodies would be placed inside the jars to decompose, a practice seen in other Southeast Asian cultures. After a period of time, the remaining skeletal fragments would be removed for a secondary burial. These secondary burials often took place in the ground nearby or even in smaller ceramic pots. The jars, therefore, acted as a temporary monument and processing vessel in a long and elaborate funerary rite. Excavations around the jars have unearthed crucial evidence that supports this compelling theory. Human remains, specifically bone fragments and teeth, have been found buried in close proximity to the stone vessels. This physical evidence provides a direct link between the jars and the funerary practices of this ancient people. It's not just human remains. The areas around the jars are rich with other significant artifacts. These objects, known as grave goods, were items buried with the departed for use in the afterlife. Archaeologists have found beautiful glass beads, predominantly colored blue or orange, imported from distant lands. The presence of these trade items suggests the society was well connected and part of a larger trade network. Ceramic pottery, both whole and in fragments, is another common find, likely used for ritual offerings. Iron tools, such as knives and spear tips, have also been unearthed, hinting at the status of the individuals buried. Curiously, some pits contain clusters of bones from multiple individuals, suggesting communal or family burial sites. This points to a society with strong kinship ties and a deep reverence for their ancestors. The variety and richness of these grave goods paint a picture of a complex, sophisticated Iron Age culture. While compelling, the burial theory isn't the only explanation. Local legends offer a more fantastical tale. Local folklore weaves a much different story, one involving a race of powerful giants. According to legend, the area was ruled by a tyrannical king named Chao Anka, who oppressed his people. A heroic king from the north, Kun Juam, arrived with his army to liberate the people. After a great and successful campaign, Kun Juam wanted to celebrate his victory in a grand fashion. He commissioned the creation of the massive jars to brew and store huge quantities of lao lao, a potent rice wine. The jars were filled to the brim for a celebration that lasted for months on end. The largest jar, the King's Cup, was supposedly used by Kun Juam himself for his victory toast. In this version of events, the jars are not tombs, but the festive remnants of a legendary victory. While it lacks scientific evidence, this story is an important part of the local culture and identity. It transforms the landscape from a mysterious cemetery into a place of ancient celebration and freedom. Beyond burials and legends, a more practical theory has also been proposed, tied to commerce and travel. This theory suggests the jars were used to collect and store fresh water for travelers and their animals. The Shenquang Plateau was part of an overland trade route that connected the civilizations of India and China. During the long, dry season, fresh water would have been a scarce and valuable commodity for these caravans. The jars, filled during the monsoon season, could have served as permanent, reliable water sources. Their placement along ridges and prominent locations would make them easy to spot landmarks for traders. The lids, in this scenario, would have been essential for keeping the water clean and reducing evaporation. However, this theory doesn't fully explain the burial pits and grave goods found at the sites. Perhaps the jars served multiple purposes over the centuries, their function changing with the needs of the people. This blending of the sacred and the practical is common in ancient cultures, adding to the site's complexity. Unlocking the secrets of the jars has been a slow and perilous process, hampered by the region's modern history. During the 20th century, Laos became the most heavily bombed country per capita in history. The Shenquang Plateau, home to the jars, was a primary target, and the landscape was saturated with ordnance. Tragically, a huge amount of this ordnance did not detonate on impact, leaving a deadly legacy. This has made archaeological research incredibly dangerous, as any shovel in the ground could have dire consequences. For decades, only a few of the jar sites were accessible, with the vast majority being too hazardous to explore. Brave demining teams have worked tirelessly to clear safe pathways and research zones around the main sites. Their painstaking work has slowly opened up new areas for study, allowing for recent breakthroughs. Many of the jars themselves bear the scars of this modern conflict, a sad collision of ancient and recent history. This ongoing hazard is a constant reminder of the fragility of cultural heritage in the face of human conflict. Despite the dangers, recent years have seen a surge in research, thanks to new technology and cleared land. In 2016, a team of archaeologists made a significant discovery at Site 1, reigniting interest in the burial theory. They unearthed a complete human skeleton, buried in a fetal position, a rare and important find. This discovery provided the first evidence of a primary burial where the body was not first placed in a jar. This suggests the funerary rituals were even more complex and varied than previously thought. Scientists are also using optically stimulated luminescence to date the sediment in which the jars are buried. This technique helps determine when the jars were placed, confirming an age of over 2,000 years. Ground-penetrating radar is being used to peer beneath the surface without disturbing the hazardous ground. This technology can reveal buried jars, burial pits, or other metallic artifacts safely. Each new discovery, enabled by technology and perseverance, brings us one step closer to solving the puzzle. So, what were the jars for? Were they tombs, celebratory wine cups, or ancient water tanks? The truth may be a combination of all three, or something else entirely that we haven't yet imagined. The evidence for the burial theory is strong, but it doesn't discount other uses over the centuries. The creators of the jars left behind no written language, no grand temples, only these enigmatic vessels. They are a silent culture, speaking to us only through the scale of their ambition and the mystery of their work. In 2019, the Plain of Jars was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognizing its global importance. This designation helps ensure its preservation and supports the ongoing efforts to clear the land and continue research. The jars have endured for millennia, silent witnesses to the passage of time and the cycles of human history. Perhaps their greatest purpose is the one they serve today, to inspire wonder and remind us of how much we still have to learn. Their secrets remain, for now, locked away in stone, waiting for the day they can finally be told. Let's revisit the monumental task of creation. The nearest known quarry to Site 1 is 8 kilometers away. At this quarry, we find evidence of their work, massive, half-finished jars still attached to the bedrock. This suggests they carved the rough shape of the jars at the source before attempting to move them. How did they transport these behemoths? The leading hypothesis involves wooden rollers and immense manpower. They may have also used domesticated animals, such as buffalo or elephants, to help pull the immense weight. The journey would have taken weeks, if not months, requiring a highly organized and dedicated workforce. Once at the site, the final, detailed shaping and hollowing of the interior would have taken place. Hollowing out tons of solid rock with iron tools is an incredibly laborious process, a testament to their patience. The sheer logistics of this operation implies a powerful political or religious authority capable of commanding such labor. This level of social organization is a key piece of the puzzle, regardless of the jar's ultimate purpose. While most jars are unadorned, the few with decorations offer tantalizing clues about the beliefs of their makers. The most famous carved lid found at Site 1 depicts a humanoid figure with arms raised. This could be a depiction of a deity, an ancestor, or a representation of the person buried within. Other lids feature carvings of animals, such as tigers or monkeys, which may have had totemic significance. These animals could represent clan symbols, spirit guides, or protective guardians for the departed. The rarity of these lids is itself a mystery. Were most made of wood and have since decayed? Or were stone lids reserved only for the most important individuals, like chieftains or high priests? One jar at Site 1 is unique, being the only one decorated on its exterior with a carved human figure. This anomaly breaks the pattern, suggesting that rules could be bent for certain occasions or people. Each unique detail, each carved symbol, is a precious fragment of a story we are still trying to piece together. The mystery of the jars is not entirely unique to Laos. Similar sites exist in other parts of Asia. In the Kachar Hills of Assam, India, groups of similar, though smaller, stone jars have been found. These Indian sites share many features with those in Laos, including their shape and grouping on hillsides. Further afield, in central Sulawesi, Indonesia, ancient megalithic vats also dot the landscape. While their purpose is also debated, local traditions link them to ancestral rituals and community feasts. This suggests that a jar culture may have been widespread across ancient Southeast Asia and beyond. It's possible these cultures were connected by trade, migration, or the spread of a shared belief system. The Plain of Jars in Laos, however, remains the largest and most impressive example of this tradition. Studying these related sites helps archaeologists build a more complete picture of this mysterious megalithic practice. The global connection makes the Laotian mystery not just a local puzzle, but part of a world heritage story. The placement of the jars is not random. Each site was carefully chosen, telling its own story. Many sites occupy hilltops, giving them a commanding presence over the surrounding landscape. This elevated position suggests a connection to the sky or a desire to be closer to the heavens. Other sites are found in saddles between hills, natural passages for people moving through the region. The natural beauty of these locations is undeniable. The jars are part of, not separate from, the scenery. Over centuries, nature has begun to reclaim them, with moss and lichen painting their surfaces. The changing seasons bring different moods to the plain, from misty monsoons to clear, dry days. In the morning fog, the jars appear as ghostly apparitions, their forms slowly emerging from the mist. At sunset, they catch the golden light, appearing warm and almost alive against the cooling landscape. This deep connection between the man-made and the natural is central to the power of the Plain of Jars. Pinpointing the exact age of the jars is crucial for understanding the people who made them. Early estimates varied widely, but modern dating techniques have provided a clearer picture. Radiocarbon dating of organic material found in burial contexts has been essential. These tests, combined with optically stimulated luminescence, place the sites firmly in the Iron Age. The main period of jar placement and use appears to be from around 500 BC to 500 AD. This means the tradition lasted for at least 1,000 years, spanning many generations. This was a time of great change in Southeast Asia, with the rise of early kingdoms and trade networks. The jar makers were not isolated, but were contemporaries of other major regional powers. Then, around 1,500 years ago, the practice seems to have stopped. The question is, why? Did a new religion arrive? Was the population displaced? This sudden end is one of the biggest remaining mysteries. Behind every new discovery at the Plain of Jars is a team of unsung heroes. the bomb disposal units. Organizations like the Mines Advisory Group, or MAG, have been working in Laos for decades. Their mission is to make land safe for the local population and for projects like archaeological research. The process is incredibly slow and methodical, requiring immense patience and courage. When a metal detector signals a find, the deminer must carefully excavate it by hand. They unearth thousands of items, from small bommies from cluster munitions to large, unexploded bombs. Once identified, the items are safely moved and disposed of in controlled demolitions. It is only after a plot of land is certified as clear that archaeologists can begin their work. The clearance of Jar Site 1 alone took several years, and the removal of hundreds of explosive items. This ongoing effort not only reveals the past, but also secures a safer future for the people of Laos. As more land becomes accessible, the future of research at the Plain of Jars is full of potential. One of the biggest goals is to find a settlement site associated with the jar makers. Where did these people live? Finding their homes would provide invaluable insight into their daily lives. Analysis of the jar's stone composition could pinpoint the exact quarries for each site. This could reveal ancient transport routes and the organization of labor across the plateau. DNA analysis of the skeletal remains could tell us about the origins and relationships of these people. Are they related to modern Laotian populations, or were they a distinct group that disappeared? Further investigation of the rare carved lids may help decipher their symbolic language. And there are still over 80 jar sites that are largely unexcavated and unstudied. What secrets do these untouched sites hold? The next big discovery could be just beneath the surface. Let's reconsider the main theories in light of modern research. How do they hold up? The rainwater collection theory seems less likely as a primary purpose, given the overwhelming burial evidence. However, it's plausible that jars were opportunistically used for water by travelers, a secondary function. The legend of the giants and their wine cups, while culturally rich, lacks any archaeological support. Yet, the legend's theme of great feasts could be a distorted memory of funerary feasts held for the dead. The burial theory remains the strongest, supported by skeletons, grave goods, and multiple burial types. Recent discoveries have only deepened this theory, revealing the rituals were more complex than we knew. The jars were likely markers for a sacred landscape, a vast necropolis spread across the plateau. Each jar was a monument, a tombstone, and a vessel, all part of honoring their ancestors. So while the why is becoming clearer, the who and the how still hold many secrets. The Plain of Jars is more than an archaeological puzzle. It is a place of profound and haunting beauty. It's where the works of humanity and the artistry of nature have merged over 2 millennia. Each vessel has a unique character, weathered by 1,000 monsoons and 1,000 suns. They stand in silent communion, a council of stone elders holding the memory of a lost culture. To walk among them is to feel the weight of history and the lightness of a question unanswered. They are a reminder that some of the greatest stories ever told were never written down. Their legacy is not in words, but in the sheer audacity of their existence. A challenge to the landscape and a challenge to our own understanding of the past. They are a testament to the universal human desire to create something that will outlast us. A message in a bottle, cast into the ocean of time, still waiting to be fully read. We've journeyed through history, legend, and science, yet the Plain of Jars still holds its deepest secrets. We know they were likely part of a sophisticated funerary tradition that lasted a millennium. We know the people who made them were master craftsmen and engineers, capable of incredible feats. We know they were part of a wider cultural phenomenon, a forgotten chapter of Asian history. But the full story, the names, beliefs, and the ultimate fate of this culture remains elusive. The jars stand as a powerful monument to this anonymity, to a story lost to time. Thanks to the ongoing work of researchers and deminers, the narrative is slowly being pieced together. Perhaps one day, a new discovery will unlock the final piece of the puzzle. Until then, the jars will continue to stand as they have for ages. Silent, mysterious, and magnificent. They invite us not just to find answers, but to embrace the profound power of a great unknown.